Hi lovelies! We all know the arrival of autumn also means the arrival of baking season. So today I am sharing 3 delicious autumn-inspired muffin recipes with you guys. And come on, muffin but the best for the people I love. Am I right? We're gonna get started with an apple walnut muffin. Obviously, this is so super seasonal. We're going to be using beautiful apples, which if you've had a chance to go apple picking in the last few weeks, you probably have an abundance of at home already. We'll start, as we often do in baking, by mixing up our dry ingredients first. It's always good to mix your dry ingredients separately before your wet ingredients. That way you can make sure that all of the baking powder, baking soda, and spices get evenly distributed. In this recipe, I'm using a combination of all-purpose flour and whole wheat flour. You can use either one or the other, but I like a combination of the two. I find you get a really nice texture that way. To that, I'm going to add my leavening agents, or the things that are gonna give this muffin lots of lift. So I've got some baking powder headed into my bowl, as well as some baking soda. And I'm also going to add a little sprinkle of salt, as we often do with baked goods. Next, I am going to get my spice on. Now, I'm using some classic apple pie spices in this recipe. If you don't have all of these spices available, just some cinnamon will do, but I love this combination. Trust me, it's gonna make a huge difference in the final taste of these muffins. I've got a lot of cinnamon headed into my bowl, some nutmeg, and some allspice. We'll whisk all of that together until it's well combined, and then we can set our dry ingredients aside and get to work on our wet ingredients. In this case, I am starting with some room temperature butter in my bowl. To that, I'm going to add some brown sugar. You can always use a combination of white and brown sugar if you want to, but I just love brown sugar in fall baking because it's got that hint of molasses flavor. I'm going to use my mixer to beat this up until it is nice and light and fluffy, and then I'll go ahead and add the rest of my wet ingredients. I've got some plain yogurt headed into my bowl, not Greek yogurt, that's too thick. You want just plain regular yogurt in this dish. I'm also going to be adding 1 egg and a splash of vanilla extract, and I'm going to beat all of that together until it's nice and well combined. Once that's nicely mixed, we are going to add half of our dry mixture, mix that in, and then add the other half. And that's it. That is the base for our muffins. Of course, because these are apple walnut muffins, I need to add some shredded apple and some chopped walnuts. I'll just fold those in until they're nice and mixed. And then I'm going to use my handy dandy ice cream scoop to scoop my batter into my muffin tin. Now, my muffin tin is lined with these parchment paper cupcake liners. I am obsessed with these when it comes to baking. They're totally non-stick, which I love, and they're really easy to find. I'll link them in the description box so you can take a look for them if you want to order some for yourself. We're going to bake these up at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for between 22 and 25 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted comes out clean. These are seriously apple spice deliciousness at its finest, and it's got a bit of crunch thanks to those walnuts. Pretty much autumn perfection, if you ask me. Next, I'm going to whip up a batch of my pumpkin spice muffins. Of course, this time of year, pumpkin spice anything is always welcome in my household. I'm getting started once again by mixing up my dry ingredients, all-purpose flour, whole wheat flour, baking powder, baking soda, and some salt headed into my bowl. Finally, for my spice in this recipe, I am using a classic pumpkin pie spice mix. I have shared this on the channel a few times. I will link it in the description box below, or you can buy the store-bought kind, totally your call. You'll notice in this recipe, I am adding what seems like a lot of spice, but what a lot of people don't think about is the fact that pumpkin itself is virtually flavorless. So anything we recognize as pumpkin flavored actually comes from pumpkin pie spice. So you wanna go liberal with it. I'm just going to give this all a whisk until it's well combined, and then we'll set it aside and get to work once again on our wet ingredients. So I've got my butter that I'm going to cream with my brown sugar. And then I'll add my plain yogurt, my egg, and my vanilla extract to my bowl. And just before I beat that, I am also going to add a whole heaping helping of pumpkin puree. I'm using the canned pumpkin puree you can find in the baking aisle at most supermarkets. Once our pumpkin is in the bowl, we can use our hand mixer to beat all of this together, and then we will add our dry ingredients 1/2 at a time until we've got a really nice batter happening. For the crunch in this recipe, I have 2 more ingredients to add. The first is some crunchy granola. It's just to add that really beautiful bite of texture. I'm also adding some chopped pecans, which are optional, but come on, I can't pecan to tell you how much better these will be with pecans folded in. Once again, I'll just scoop these into my prepared muffin tin and get them baking at 375 for between 22 and 25 minutes. And oh my, you are in for such a treat, because when these come out of the oven, your entire kitchen will smell like pumpkin spice deliciousness, and they taste just as good as they look. Seriously. Finally, guys, we have the recipe that I am most excited about. They are my carrot cake muffins, and you just know they can't be bad, because things that taste like carrot cake are never bad. They start once again with my dry ingredients, so both of my flours, my baking powder, baking soda, and salt. And then for my carrot cake spices, I have some of my favorites headed in here. I am going to mix up some cinnamon, some ground ginger, some nutmeg, and some cloves. I'll stir that up, set it aside, and then mix up my wet ingredients, butter, brown sugar. I've got my yogurt, egg, and vanilla extract, and then I'll mix the two together until I've got my batter formed. Then it's just a matter of folding in my shredded carrots, and I'm going to add some chopped pecans for a little bit of crunch. Once again, I am just going to scoop all this goodness into each of these muffin cups. I am so ready to eat these. Patience is a virtue that I was not born with. I always thought as I got older that I would become more patient. Hasn't gone that way, folks. It really hasn't gone that way. I'm just going to get it baking until these are beautiful and golden brown and totally irresistible. I like enjoying them straight out of the oven with some salted butter. Or if you want to make these even more decadent, you always have the option to add a little bit of cream cheese frosting on top, and then you have real carrot cake. Guys, I hope you'll give all 3 of these amazing muffin recipes a try. If you do, be sure to tweet me, Instagram me, or Facebook me a photo, because I always love seeing your kitchen creations. Keep in mind, these recipes are available on our brand new website, which I am so excited to finally get to share with you guys. I've linked them in the description box below, so you can find them there. And finally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, because there is lots more deliciousness where this came from.